Hi guys, welcome to Learning to Build iOS Apps with Swift. This is me, Mohit Atwani from Indian iOS.Guru, and today we'll be talking about control flow statements in Swift. So, Swift has the traditional control flow statements like the for loop and the while loop, and the if condition and the switch case for conditional execution of code. So, in addition to the traditional control flow statements, Switch also provides a very nifty for in loop, which makes it dead simple to iterate over collections like arrays, dictionaries, strings, and other sequences. The switch statement in Swift is very powerful as compared to its counterpart in other languages. The cases do not automatically fall through in the absence of a break statement, and cases can match against various patterns like ranges and even tuples. So, cases can have values associated with them, and complex matching conditions can be expressed with a where clause. So to begin our exercises, we will start with the for loops. So Swift provides two kinds of for loops, the traditional for loop and the for in loop. So we'll begin with the for in loop. So let's say we have for a temporary variable called multiplier in the range 1 to 10, and in this I want to print multiplier times 3 is multiplier into 3. Okay, Swift needs these spaces. Let's see what the error is. Oops, multiplier. Okay, and as you can see, this code executes 10 times. So let's go and inspect. Right at the bottom, you can see 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, and we have this execution of our for in loop, which is operating over the range 1 to 10. The value is stored in this temporary variable called multiplier, and we are multiplying that by 3 and printing out the multiplication table of 3. Okay, so the for in loop can also be used to iterate over elements in an array, as we have seen in one of our previous exercises. So let's scroll up and have a look at it. So you can see we have an array called the to buy list. In this, we've added some grocery items that we want to buy, and we have a for loop, a for in loop, which iterates over this to buy list and stores the elements of this array in a temporary variable called item and prints it out. So the for in loop can also be used to iterate over characters of a string as seen before. So let's scroll up, and you can see we have this mutable string called Jack. To this string, we are adding another string called and Jill. So we get a combined string which is equal to Jack and Jill. And we use the for in loop to iterate over this string, and we store each character in a temporary variable called character, and we print. And you can see this iterates 13 times, and the output is given out here. So you can see on each line, one character is being printed out. So Swift also supports the traditional for loop. So for example, we can say for where I equal to 0 semicolon I less than 5 semicolon I plus plus, and I can simply say the value of I is I. So you can see this code executes 5 times. Let's go and inspect, and you can see it's printing from 0 to 4 because the condition says less than 5. So Swift also has the while loop, and as we know, the while loop will check for condition first and then execute its contents. So let's say, for example, where I equal to 0, and we have a condition which says I less than 5, and here I just simply print ln I. So you can see this is an infinite loop because there is no condition to terminate, because I will always be less than 5. So I will put in I plus plus. And now you see this executes 5 times. Let's go see, and here it's giving us a graph of the varying values of I from 0 to 4, and if we inspect this line, it gives us the values that are being printed out. So this statement that will eventually prove the condition to be false is required for for loops. Otherwise, you've seen that it goes into an infinite loop. So Swift also has the do while loop, and it's important to know that the do while loop will execute at least once before checking the condition. So let's say, for example, I have a variable called IA, and let's assign it to -1. I'll say do, I'll print this variable, and I'll specify while I greater than 0, sorry, IA greater than 0. So you can see that even though my variable IA is less than 0, the do gets executed at least once, and then it checks for condition and reiterates. So that's the reason why we're getting only one output printed out. So let's look at conditional statements. There are two conditional statements supported by Swift, the if statement and the switch case statements. So the if statement checks for a condition, and if the condition evaluates to true, it will get executed. If not, the else block will get executed. So let's check if to by list dot count is less than 3. So 2 by list is an array that we have created in one of our previous videos. I'm going to print you have few items left to buy. And if this condition turns out to be false, I'll put an else where I'll say your grocery list is pretty huge. And you can see we are printing out your grocery list is pretty huge. So if this condition was true, we would be executing this code. But since the condition is false, we are executing this code. So we can also chain multiple if statements, and let's see how to do that. We can say if 2 by list dot count is less than 3, say print ln function list is small. Now I'll say else if and specify another condition where I say 2 by list dot count is greater than 3 and 2 by list dot count is less than 6. I'll say print ln list is medium, and now I'll say else. Now this is the default else that will get executed if both these conditions turn out to be false. And in here I'll say print ln the list is pretty big. And you can see we are printing out the list is pretty big because probably the length of this array is greater than 6. So we can have unlimited else ifs combined with each other. So Swift also has support for the switch statement, and so basically a switch statement takes the variable passed to it and compares it with several matching patterns. And on finding the first appropriate match, an appropriate block of code is executed. So, for example, let's see. I say switch. Before that, let's create some random character equal to m, and let's say switch. Let's switch on the random character and let's compare this random character to A, E, I, O, and U, and colon, and we'll say print ln vowel, or we'll put in another case where we can compare it with B, C, D, F, G, H. We can go on with this list. I'll just put in M because we are our variable has M in it, and I'll print ln consonant, and I can even go and compare it with 0, 1, 2, and if it matches with this, I'll print ln number. And in addition to this, I'll specify a default case that should get executed when none of the cases match. And in here, I can say print ln special character. So you can see we are printing out consonant. If I go and change the value to A, we're printing out vowel. If I change it to @, we're printing out special character. If I put in 2, I'm printing out number. So this is how a switch case can be used. So compared to the switch statements in C and other traditional languages, you notice that the switch does not fall through if a break statement is not given. So you notice I have not specified break statements between cases. So by default, the switch conditions, switch cases in Swift do not fall through. So the switch cases in Swift can also be used to check for ranges. So for example, I'll say switch on my to by list dot count, and I'll specify case 0. I'll print the string empty. Case from 1 to 3, I'll print few, and case from 4 to 8, I'll print a lot, and I'll put in a default case in which I say print ln. You really have a lot of shopping to do. So you can see that we are printing out a lot over here. So probably the length of my 2 by list array is between 4 to 8. So this println got executed. So the switch statement in Swift can also match against tuples, and let's see how we do that. So let me create a tuple called age height, which is nothing but the age and the height. And I'm going to switch on the age height variable, and I can specify case. Now, one interesting thing is even in the tuples that I will enter in the case, I can specify ranges. So I can say the age is from 20 to 22, and the height is from 140, let's say from 160 to 170. I can print by saying the age height ratio is normal. I can give another case and specify that let's check on the same age range, but let's change the height range. So 140 to 159, and I'll say print ln. The height is abnormal, and in the default case, I'll print ln by saying please get yourself checked. So you can see I'm printing out the age height ratio is normal because my age is in the range 20 to 22 and the height is in the range 160 to 170. Let's change this to 150. You can see that now I'm printing out the height is abnormal. And if I change this to 21 or 22, you see that we still print the same. So switch cases can be used to work on tuples as well in Swift. So the next thing that we will talk about is the control transfer statements. So Swift has 4 control transfer statements. They are break, continue, fall through, and return. And we will be looking at break and continue in this video. So let's look at continue first. So when continue is used in a loop, it forces the loop to continue to the next iteration, thereby skipping the rest of the statements in the for loop. So for example, I say for I in 1 dot 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 10, and I say if I mod 2 is not equal to 0, I'll say continue, and here I'll simply print ln I. So you can see, even though this for loop is going from 1 to 10, we are printing only 5 lines of code, and hopefully you've guessed the answer. We're just printing out the even numbers. So you can see 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 are being printed out, because in this condition I'm checking if the number is an odd number. I am forcing my for loop to continue to the next iteration. And the next thing we have is the break statement. So when a break statement is used in a loop, it causes the loop to completely terminate, and the control is passed to the next line of code after the loop. So for example, for I in 1 dot 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 5, and I can say if I equal to 3, break, and I'll simply print ln I. So you can see, even though the range is from 1 to 5, the print statement prints just 2 times. And let's go see the output. We're printing only 1 and 2 because the moment the for loop encounters the break statement, it completely comes out of the for loop. So it's very important to note that if a break is used in a switch case, the control will be transferred to the statements outside the switch. So be careful when using break statements with switch cases. So this brings us to the end of our sixth video, and the source code will be hosted on GitHub, and the link will be provided in the description. Also, the link to our website will be provided, where you can come and have a Q&A session with me regarding the topics that we've covered in the video. So see you guys next time.